kind of a mess today, but I'm here. I just got back from the grocery store. I need to breathe. Okay, I just got back from the grocery store, and what a madhouse. Oh, I need to plug this thing in before it dies. 1 second. Okay, better. And so, I literally just finished wiping down all the groceries and putting them away. Oh my gosh. So, I like grocery shopping, as I mentioned last week, I think, when I went to the store. But right now, it's really time consuming. Like, it's not, I don't hate it now, but I don't love it like I used to. it's it's kind of aggravating not being able to get flour right now. Luckily, I still have enough flour for another couple weeks, I think. But I do a lot of baking anyway, like before this all started. I know a lot of people didn't start baking until they were stuck at home, but I like to bake, and I always have flour in the house, and there isn't any. So I might have to start experimenting with gluten-free flour if they don't start stocking up the regular flour in the next week or two. Which is fine. I like trying new recipes, but my family's not going to be too happy about it because they're a little bit pickier when it comes to eating. So there's that. There was no sugar to be had as far as regular granulated sugar. Luckily, I have several weeks supply of that still also, but that goes along with the baking. Obviously, you know I'm not a low sugar, not on a low sugar diet here. And so, yeah, there's plenty of powdered sugar, but there's no granulated sugar. So that could get interesting in a few weeks if that supply chain doesn't come through. My dad likes to eat a lot of soup. There was practically no soup to be had, so I got him Annie's bunny soup. Annie's brand I like, but I don't think he's ever had it. It's like chicken noodle soup, but with bunny shapes. That was literally the only can of chicken noodle soup they had, and so hopefully he likes this kind of soup I was able to get him. So we'll see. There wasn't much to choose from, so yeah, it was an adventure. I was actually doing my grocery shopping and also my parents' grocery shopping, and also for a neighbor that's in the high-risk age group also, and so I was doing grocery shopping for multiple people all at once so that they didn't have to go to the store, which I'm glad to be able to do, but it was kind of hectic. So normally I can go to the store and be done inside 30 minutes, hour maybe, if I happen to hit it at a really crowded time. Today, it was more like over 2. Once you factor in that now I am wiping down everything that I bring back in and trying to make sure I don't bring any germs into the house, because there's really no point in keeping my parents safe by doing their grocery shopping and then bringing them contaminated food potentially. So I wiped all their stuff down too. Very time consuming. I also wore a mask for the first time today. My mom has been sewing masks to donate, and so I saw on CNN this morning a whole bunch of articles about that the CDC and some other what are they doing? Anyway, the CDC is reconsidering the face mask benefits, even for homemade masks, and so certainly doesn't hurt. Like I said, I'm trying to be responsible, so I wore a homemade mask today, which was weird. Not the first time I've ever worn a face mask in public. When I traveled to China, I wore one, but only because I caught something while I was over there. No, it wasn't coronavirus. This was before coronavirus. It was like a head cold. It wasn't any big deal, but didn't want to spread it around, so I was wearing a face mask there. And so I've worn one before, but it's definitely, like, it didn't feel too weird there because culturally enough people wear them around. It's not like everybody wears them except like now, but you know, before this happened, you'd see sometimes people wearing them, so it wasn't a big deal. But now it's, you know, now it's normal enough to see people wearing face masks. It's I don't know, it was kind of weird. So anyway, my weird grocery experience. Oh, my exciting part of my grocery experience today, I got plantain chips, which are so delicious. I love plantain chips. I didn't know they sold them at the grocery store that I found them at. I didn't think I could get them anywhere in Grass Valley. I thought I had to go down to, I don't know, Roseville, which is like an hour away. The only place that I knew of was Trader Joe's, and that's like an hour drive. So I don't usually get to eat plantain chips, but I found some, and these were not picked over. Like, there was a whole bunch of plantain chips, so I got some. And so, let's see, Wendy says, good girl with the mask, don't risk it, especially since older friends need your help too. Yes, and that was also part of it, since I was doing grocery shopping for my parents and for the friend, and all three of them, well, four of them, because her husband too. So all four people who were going to be getting these groceries were high risk, and so I wasn't gonna, like, accidentally contaminate anything myself either, breathing on it. So so there's that. And you know, they're saying now that some article I saw this morning from CNN was that possibly, I think it was half of the cases are from, I forget how it was worded. It was either half of people who get it never know, or it was half of people who know they get it is from an unknown source. But either way, it's there's enough people who are asymptomatic or pre-symptomatic, asymptomatic, but will become symptomatic or will never show symptoms, who have it and are spreading it, that it's kind of, you know, you got to be aware of that. It's not just the people who are coughing. It could be anybody who has it and doesn't know yet. And you might even have it and not ever know it, or might not know it for a while and be spreading. So masks are they might not be 100% effective, but they are at least better than nothing. So back to my plantain chip excitement. These are like, they remind me of kind of like eating potato chips, except they're really thick. Like, what do you call the potato chips that are thick cut? I don't really eat potato chips. Kettle cut or something, where they're thicker. It's kind of like that, but, and kind of potatoey, salted potato chip flavor, but more robust. So more flavorful than potato chips, but kind of a similar-ish flavor. So I love them. I'm probably going to make myself sick and eat the whole bag at once, because that's what I always end up doing when I find plantain chips. But yum, so exciting. And they're, you know, decently good for you. They're a vegetable. I'm going to count that as my vegetable serving for the day. Fairly low carb, decent fiber, and they're fried in oil, so they've got some fat to them, but no trans fat. So anyway, yum. Um, oh, it's April. Happy April. I have not gotten around to writing my monthly newsletter yet, and so if you are not yet signed up for my monthly newsletter, there's still time to sign up for the April newsletter. I might not get that out till tonight or tomorrow at this rate. Planning on baking bread for my mom today, so I have to do that before I write the newsletter because it needs to rise. Anyway, so there's time to sign up if you'd like the April newsletter, and if you miss it, sign up anyway and you'll get the May newsletter. So it's free. It's just a little kind of a summary of my month and some highlights. So it's emailed and usually on the first of each month. So there's that. So you can find the sign up form on my website, which there's a link for that on my page, and so you can look for that or just type it in, www.centaurride.org, CENTAURIDE, and there's a newsletter sign up there. If you don't see it or whatever, if it's just easier for you, you can always just send me your email by messenger, private message, and I will just add you if you would like to be added. So, yeah, newsletters are so exciting. I stopped doing it. I started out with the newsletter when I started writing back in 2017, and I kept it up for a few months, and I hadn't figured out how to use the app yet, so it was kind of a pain. And I stopped doing it, and then I got a bunch of complaints, so I've kept it up since then. And now I can do it on my phone, and so it's a lot easier. So anyway, there's that. Oh, what else? Oh, I was going to tell you. I can't tell you about that today. Okay, that'll be tomorrow. I now know part of what I'm talking about tomorrow. So, there you go. Yeah. Everything else, I was not prepared and did not bring my little props to show you, and they are too far away to reach from here, and I'm not going to go disappear from the camera for that long. So, there you go. There are things to look forward to tomorrow, but it's a secret. That way you have to come back and find out the surprise. So let's see, what can I talk about now? How about my bunny update? I'm almost done knitting the square so I can do my black bunny. So I've been binge watching the BBC series Father Brown while I knit. I really like knitting while watching the BBC. It's like I could knit while watching other things, but I like watching BBC, especially if it's with a character who's also a knitter, or that's set, in the early 1900s. It's the ambiance. And particularly a good murder mystery. So I used to knit while watching Agatha Christie series on BBC, and so I liked watching Miss Marple because she's really always knitting in that series. She solves mysteries while she knits, and so I knit with Miss Marple and went through every Miss Marple that they ever recorded, and then now I'm doing Father Brown. So one of the minor characters in there is a knitter, so sometimes I get to knit along with Mrs. McCarthy. But anyway, that's what I've been watching. But I'm halfway through the third of 4 seasons, so I'm gonna need to look for something else soon. So if you'd like to drop me any comments on what you have been binging while you're stuck at home. I know a lot of people are watching more than they might otherwise have been watching. And so if you have any good recommendations, drop me a comment. Always looking for something new. Yeah. I don't watch a lot. Basically just while I'm knitting. So, episode or two a night, and then I fall asleep. Other thing, this is what I'm going to be baking. Chocolate babka. And that's a picture of what it ought to look like when it's done. Isn't that fantastic? It's all light and airy, and it has chocolate and rum and raisins and cinnamon and a bunch of other yummy stuff. Lemon and orange zests. Oh, it's going to be good. It's a classic Eastern European dessert from an old issue of Savor. I think it was like 2005 or something. My friend was going to throw these away, and I snatched them up. It's 2007. So there we go. I picked through all the recipes. I'm going to make that one. The other thing I bookmarked in here to make that someday I will do, but this is like a several day project. Of course the bread is a several day project too, but Gâteau Saint Honoré, which I don't have a picture of, but that looks fabulous, so maybe someday I'll make a cake too. Wendy says, I watched The Tiger King. Yeah, that was kind of my thought in looking at everybody's posts about it. Like, yeah, I don't know. Like, is it worth watching, or is it just a train wreck that you can't look away from? I'm suspecting the latter. It's just a train wreck, but I don't know. I don't know. I don't think that's my kind of thing, but it's amazing how many memes are out there all of a sudden about it. Like, I think now everyone's watching it just because everyone else is talking about it. But, Kim says, I have to watch the sugar. I don't want diabetes. Yeah, I don't really want the diabetes either, but I try to kind of be careful. Like, obviously when I'm riding, you see all the crazy things I eat, but I'm also exercising like crazy while I'm on the ride. But when I'm at home, I kind of try to be good, but there's so many yummy things to eat. Wendy says it's a train. The Tiger King is a train wreck. Okay. I'm glad I assessed that right. Well, if I get super bored and just have to know, then I'll watch Tiger King, but at this point, maybe not. Ina says that she loves This Is Us, but might be too complicated to watch while knitting. They do a lot of talking in that, right? It's not something that you have to pay attention to. Like, I can't watch, like, there's a Chinese show that I love called The Untamed, and I'm now on my second time going through all of those episodes, but I have to read the subtitles, and so I can't knit and read subtitles at the same time. But if it's a lot of visuals where you need to watch what's going on, like, I don't know, like heist shows, or like sometimes action things where you need to watch what's happening, or if it's just like gorgeous cinematography that you shouldn't look away, those are hard while I'm knitting. But if they're talking, I can follow the conversation. So if it's more of a talky drama that you don't need to necessarily look at, then I could definitely give that one a try, for sure. I think I heard of This Is Us from someone else. It sounds familiar, but I haven't seen that one. So, yeah, I can look that up. Oh, between books right now too. I'm I just finished reading The Bookwoman of Troublesome Creek. I think that was the title. Something very similar to that, if not that. The Bookwoman of Troublesome Creek. It was recommended to me from someone that I know, and I believe it was a Facebook recommendation from a Facebook friend, because I think it got a bunch of likes from other people who said they also enjoyed it. And I have to say, I didn't. I had a lot of problems with that book. So, yeah. I stayed up late last night to finish reading it, not because I couldn't put it down, but because I just wanted it to be over, and then I could read something else. Because it's very rare that I will stop reading a book in the middle. It's happened, but it's not very common. So even though I didn't really like it, I kept reading it, but I just wanted to be done with it so I could read something else. So I did like the topic. So what it's about is about a couple things that I didn't know about. So it was interesting from that regards. It was about the pack horse librarians. I think I got the name of the project wrong, but it was from the 1930s during the Depression. The WPA hired several thousand people to travel around by horseback to rural communities and bring library books to homes and schools and whatever in very rural places. And so this was set in the very rural part of eastern Kentucky, and it was set in 1936, so Depression era, about one of these librarians who rode around bringing books around. And it was also simultaneously about the Blue people of Kentucky, which I hadn't heard of. There was a group of, an extended family of people who had a genetic recessive illness, I guess, whatever, that made them blue, like sky blue. They were not flesh colored, like, so I didn't know about them, and so that was interesting to learn about, that was a thing. And the author obviously did a lot of research about the Pack Horse Project and the Blue people, and about the time period and the lifestyle of people who lived in that part of the U.S. during the Depression. And so it was well researched, except for the actual horsemanship parts. Like, for having spent so much time obviously researching about this horseback librarian thing, I don't think the author ever talked to a horse person. Like, it was awful. Like, there was just parts in there I was like, no, that's not how horses work. It's just not how any of this works. And why didn't you talk to a horse person? So I had a big problem with that. If it was just a few scene here or there, it would have been fine, but it was such a key element to the story that it really bugged me. Also, the author could not keep her character development straight and her characteristics straight, and so she kept saying contradictory things about people and about the main character's mule. Like, she said it was not skittish, and it was a very brave mule, and it would go places and do things that her previous horse was afraid of. And then there were just scene after scene of the mule just spooking at this and that and the other, like leaf moving, and I was like, that's not the same. Like, you can't say one and then the other, like at one point, and this is not a spoiler, at one point she woke up because her mule was braying in a panic, and so this noise of her mule outside woke her up, and she called it screaming, which was kind of weird, but anyway, her mule was screaming and it woke her up, and then she woke up and laid there staring into the silent darkness or blackness or something like that. So I was like, you just said it was loud and the noise woke you up. Why are you saying that it's silent? Like, that doesn't even make any sense. And there was just all this little stuff like that over and over that was just contradictory and it didn't make sense. And then she wouldn't explain that, but then she'd go into this extreme detail in making sure you were following along with her very predictable plot. Oh my gosh, every cliche in the book was in the book. So, oh my gosh. So if you are interested in learning about that part of history, I would recommend you just Google it, or maybe find a nonfiction book about it or something. I don't know. It's a shame because it really was an interesting topic, but oh, she needed to fire her editor. Like, that was just, oh man. The whole, like, every chapter, there was something I was like, oh my god, I can't believe she just wrote that. That doesn't even make any sense. So, but anyway, I don't usually rip into books like that because I'm not really a picky reader. I'll read pretty much anything. So, yeah. Next, I'm going to read The Hate You Give, which was recently, I think, made into a movie. I don't know. Movies usually come out while I'm writing, and I can't follow that kind of stuff. So, anyway, gonna read The Hate You Give, which is a YA book. So for young adults, but a lot of good YA books out there. So I end up reading a lot of YA. That one was recommended to me also. I read one of the book she wrote after The Hate You Give, called, it'll come to me. It won't come to me. Anyway, she wrote another book that's about a teenage girl who aspires to be a rap star or hip-hop star. And so it's all about, like, hip-hop and, you know, girl power and living in the rough part of town and living in the hood, a lot of gang stuff and whatever, and what it's like to grow up around that. I kind of didn't like that book while I was reading it, but I couldn't stop thinking about it when I stopped reading it, and then I liked the book. So, she's a very good writer, and so I am looking forward to this one, even though I might not enjoy it while I'm reading it. We'll see. But it's, yeah, I liked the other one afterwards well enough that I'm going to read another one of hers and see what I think of this one. So, hi Gary from Fergus Falls, Minnesota. You're back again. So, yeah, it's, I have to go get that bread rising, and stuff. So, I hope you all have a good rest of your April Fool's Day, and I will be back tomorrow. And so, oh, I know what else I didn't mention after I finished yesterday's live stream, finished the puzzle we were working on. So there's a picture of that on my page. So it turned out great, but it turns out we were missing a piece. Don't you hate that? You spend days and hours and hours and hours doing a jigsaw puzzle and then you don't even have all the pieces. But it was a tiny piece and it's hard to see that it's missing unless you're looking for it. So still a nice puzzle, and it's also nice to be done with it because it was a lot and I have other things to do. So yeah, so I'll be back tomorrow, 4 o'clock Pacific, 5 Mountain, 6 Central, and 7 Eastern time. So join me again tomorrow, and I will hopefully have my act together more, and I will tell you the other things I planned on telling you today that I didn't actually get prepared for, and I'll wear a hat. I didn't even have time to do that today. So, oh my gosh. Grocery shopping right now. Madness. I did find toilet paper. We didn't need any toilet paper, but it was exciting to see. So, woo. If anyone in Nevada City, Grass Valley area is looking for toilet paper, they have some at SPD. So, yeah. So till tomorrow, have a great evening. Have a great beginning of your Thursday too, and I will talk to you tomorrow. Bye.